Hello everyone, it's Stella here. I hope that everyone is doing great. Welcome to the Bibi and Yaya channel, the place where people come to get inspired about all aspects of life, the vices and the advice. If you are wondering what is done here, it's simple. We share people's stories, and these stories are about relationships, love life, friendships, and family experiences, and we try to provide these people some solutions through the comments section. Today, we have the story of a young girl who is in stress mentally, physically, and psychologically, and is seeking our help. No one is an island of knowledge. That is why we made the comment section open for people to learn and give advice based on their individual ideologies. We share these stories so you don't make the same mistakes in life. Our goal is to share wisdom with all of you. If this is your first time watching one of our episodes, then please show some love to us and to the ones who share their stories by smashing the like button below and subscribing to our channel. At the end of each video, do not forget to write in the comments section your solutions or opinions that you think will help the people who send us their stories and ask for solutions. We are here to help everyone who needs life advice in any good or difficult situation, so you can share your stories with us at the email address in the description below if you need any help. Alright folks, without further ado, let's get into the story. But before we begin, I want to say a huge thank you to everybody who smashes the like button and comments for the YouTube algorithm. Doing that helps the channel tremendously. Even if it is something small, such as destroying the like button, helps the YouTube algorithm in recommending our videos to a bigger audience, and for that, we really appreciate and thank you so much. So, this is her story. My name is Alexa. I am 18 years old and just enrolled into college. I am in my freshman year. Life isn't really easy for me. Okay, that's an understatement. Life is very difficult for me. I've never slept with my eyes closed for fear that I might never wake up. Let's flash back a little bit. Dad, no! Please don't do this, Dad! No! I screamed as my best friend Ariel pulled me from my dad's corpse. This was 2 years ago when my life started crumbling. My dad had been diagnosed with brain cancer, days before his death. I miss you, Dad. He was my best friend and confidant. He brought out the troublemaker in me. We were so close. He knew all my problems in school and helped me overcome most of them. My shyness, my low self-esteem. He even gave me a reason to live happily. Every day, we would make comedy videos. He always had time for me. He never missed my soccer games for anything in the universe. I gave up soccer when he died, not intending to continue ever again. I took his picture, hugging it tight to my chest. Tears crept freely from my eyes as I thought of him. I will always love you, Dad. I already told you about my past. Now let's skip to my present, the bad and the most hurtful part of my life. A year after my dad died, my mom remarried. She is married to Mr. Arthur, the owner of a telecommunication company. He's also father to Nicholas, my 19-year-old stepbrother, and the person who made and is currently making my life crumble. His dad is great, trust me. He treats me like his own daughter and never ceases to try and make me happy, though I never gave him the chance. He could never replace my dad. No one could. Now to explain how his son is ruining my life. A month after my mom remarried, Nick started acting weird. He would come to my room and lie on my bed, telling me my room was more comfortable and he would rather sleep in it. I tried to express my disapproval, but he insisted. I remember it like it was yesterday. As I tried to think of it, I felt pain. Pain within. Come on, don't you trust me? I am your brother now, you know, he said, grinning very innocently. Okay, I answered nervously, resting on my pillow. He stood up and walked to the door, locking it. Why did he just do that? I had to ask. He walked back to me, slumping on the bed beside me. Why did you lock the doors? His grin dissolved into a scary frown. It was that night my life began to crumble. Nick took advantage of me after threatening me with a knife if I dared to scream. This story is painful to read, but let's continue listening to what happened next. Don't forget to click on the like button below if you have not done so yet to show some support to Alexa. She promised she will be watching the video and reading the comments. Apart from the day my dad died, that night was the worst moment of my life. It gives me the creeps just to think of it. My whole life has been a flop since then. I couldn't even tell anyone, my mom, Ariel, or his dad. No one would believe me, mostly because it was hard to believe. Nick was one of the brightest students back in high school before he went to college. He was neat and well behaved, but not to me, anyway. My mom always wanted me to follow after his footsteps, but I was the only one who knew he really was a sicko. Once I tried to tell my mom. Let's see how that turned out. Mom, I want to talk to you. I spoke nervously as I got into the kitchen. What is it, honey? She had always tried to please me ever since Dad died, perhaps to make me feel better. She always urged me to talk to her about everything, but it was never that easy. I was so used to my dad, my first best friend. Well, it's about Nick. I looked around to see if he was there. Come on, talk to me. What's wrong with your brother? She glared at me, eager to hear what was wrong. It's just that he... Sometimes... Someone interrupted me. I told her I had a tummy ache, but you don't need to worry. I'm perfectly fine, Mom, Nick told her, smiling innocently. Was that what you wanted to tell me, honey? My mom looked at me, expecting my answer. Nick stared at me, giving me the death signal through his eyes in a way my mom wouldn't notice. I immediately understood what that meant and nodded as an answer to my mom smiling. The smile was a mask to cover my fear. Nick had caught me. Fear shuddered through my nerves. I'm really glad you two are getting along, my mom smiled at me. Yeah, well, sis, can I see you upstairs? Nick looked at me, smiling innocently as usual. He stood by the door, expecting me to follow him. I did, with every pint of blood in me boiling with fear. While on the stairs, he grabbed me by the neck as he looked around to see if anyone was there. You. I am going to destroy you. You almost exposed me. He grabbed me tighter, pressing my breast painfully. You're hurting me, I cried as he pressed harder. He slapped me, telling me to shut up. He pulled me into my room, dragging me by my shirt. You're lucky Mom's downstairs. I would have done you right now. He held my neck to the wall and stared at me furiously. If you ever do that again, I'll eliminate you myself without feeling any guilt, and trust me, no one would ever know I did it. He was right. He had friends who were exactly like him, and bodyguards around him since his dad is rich and they always had no choice than to obey him. He could order them to eliminate me one day. I always thought of that. You hear me? He shouted at me with anger seething in his eyes. I nodded tearfully as he forcefully threw me on the floor after squeezing my throat tighter. Tears crept freely from my eyes as I heard him close the door. Ever since that day, I never tried to tell anyone again. He's not home right now as I'm writing this. He has already gone to college, but any time he came home for weekends, I had hell living in me. Most people or students call me weird because of my attitude. I only talked to Ariel, my bestie, and I hated boys, the whole lot of them. Ever since the night Nick abused me, I grew a strong hatred for boys. Even my longtime crush, Tyler, one of the cutest guys in school. He was the team captain of the boys' soccer team back in high school, and everyone was hoping he would be in my college too. I quenched my feelings for him, and ever since then, I despised boys, no matter who or what they were. Trust me, a lot of guys ask me out and tell me I'm pretty, but I give them the same answer: not interested. I've earned a very bad reputation for that. People started calling me the snob witch. With time, I got used to it. It wasn't a big deal anymore. Someone came into my room. Hi, Tally. It was Ariel. Oh, hi, Ariel, I said dryly. I'm not really in the mood to talk right now. My brain was literally spinning. Bestie, you don't look happy. What's wrong? She looked at me. I could see concern in her eyes. She had always been there for me. The perfect bestie. She really understood me. I just wish I could tell her all my Nick problems. But I wouldn't want him to hurt her because of me. I can't risk that. Nick is a monster. The animal in the midst of humans. If I could eliminate him, I would. Hey, talk to me. Ariel looked at me with a worried look on her face. I'm fine, Ariel. I looked at her, just not in the mood to talk. I can help cheer you up. She brought out her phone, showing me a comedy video. I can't watch that, and you know why. Why would she do that? She knows I only love the comedy videos I did with Dad. I pushed the phone away from my face. Is it still about your dad, Natalie? She looked really concerned. I nodded sadly. I'm sorry I brought back those memories. She hugged me, patting my hair. I hugged her back. I really needed this right now. Leave me alone! I screamed as Nick dragged me to my room. He kicked my back, causing me to hit my head on the stairs. Ah! I shouted as I felt pain in my head. He crouched to my level, lifting my head to look at him. Say one more word, and you're gone, he spoke harshly. He stood up, dragging my hair. Ouch. He ordered me to stand up, which I did out of fear. He pushed me into my room, throwing me to the ground. I screamed as I felt him inside me. Tally, are you okay? Ariel jerked me to reality. Oh. It was just a dream. Ariel looked at me. I could tell she was worried. Really worried. I asked her to stay over last night when I knew I couldn't take this on alone. Tally, what's wrong? You were just screaming. She held my hands. I'm fine. Just a dream, I assured her. Just a dream that made you scream so much. What was it about? What was it about? She looked really curious. You don't need to worry yourself, Ariel. I'm fine. I can't tell her about this. I don't blame her for being so curious. I could tell I screamed loudly because that dream was horrible. Worry, she flared up. I think I deserve to know what made you like that. I mean, my alarm clock interrupted her. Bless you, alarm clock. We better get ready for school. I changed the topic. She looked at me suspiciously. Something's wrong, Natalie, and I'm going to figure it out, she said, so sure of herself. Good luck with that. Please do us a favor by watching more of our YouTube content at the end of this video. There are a lot of stories and experience that people go through on this channel, where you can give your input and help the ladies and gentlemen that come forward with their stories. Let's dive back into Alexa's story. I took the books I needed for class as I thought of my dream. I need help. Some of my books fell to the floor. As I bent to pick them up, I saw a hand picking some of the books. I looked up. It was Joel. Hi, pretty. He stared into my eyes. Oh, what the heck? We were totally staring into each other's eyes. Snap out of it, Natalie. They're all the same. I ignored what he said and took my books from him when we stood up. Joel was one of the most popular boys in school, just like Tyler, but not for sports. His parents were the owners of one of the most popular restaurants in our area. The restaurant was known for its special and really expensive beef. I had only tasted it once, when my dad took the whole family for dinner. And I'm talking about my real dad, my biological dad. It was way before he died. I really shouldn't be thinking about this right now. I bit my lips, trying to hold back the tears. Joel was staring at me. He looked confused. Hey, are you okay? He asked. Excuse me, I replied coldly. I don't have time for this. I walked away, but he touched my arm, making me stop. I just wanted to help. He hesitated, still looking into my eyes. What do you want? I said colder than I sounded before. He sighed in a way that really made him look cute. Gosh, I should stop this. Have I ever done anything wrong to you? You're always... I cut him off. I have a class to be at. Excuse me, Joel. I let go of his hold and walked away icily. I didn't have to look back. I could tell he was looking at me. My mind was not on the class. I wish everyone would just leave me alone. I excused myself from the classroom and ran into the girls' bathroom. I tried to wipe the tears from my face, but it kept gushing out. Memories of how Nick slapped and battered me up the first night came back. The other times he raped me was just me reliving the first night. The first night was the worst day of my life. Apart from my dad's death, of course. It's very funny how a lot of people surround me and try to get my attention, but I always tell them off. Not only boys, but even girls sometimes. Ariel was always telling me I was lucky to have boys asking me out, when for her, it was only on rare occasions she got asked out. But I never wanted another friend. I only trusted Ariel and no one else. She'd been there when no one else was. I just wish I could tell her about my problems. I looked at the mirror and noticed the tears had made marks on my face. I was wiping them off when I noticed someone staring at me from the back through the mirror. It was Joel. What is he doing here? How long has he been staring at me? These were the questions that roamed my mind. I faced him nervously. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to pry. I just saw you storm in here crying and I decided to check if you were okay. He looked really concerned and nervous too. Why is he like that? I stared into his face. Gosh, this guy is cute. Well, you checked. I'm fine. You can leave. I spoke really harshly. Maybe if you tell me what it is, I can help. He moved closer. I just told you that I'm fine, so bug off. I pushed him backwards. He stared at his chest. What did I ever do to you that made you hate me so much? He moved closer than before. We were 1 inch away from each other. Man, he is really cute. Back off, Joel! I almost shouted, and made to leave when he pulled me to himself and said, Is it wrong that I care about you? What he said kind of touched me, and I calmed down, breathed in and out slowly. His gaze went to my lips. He closed in like he was waiting for an invitation to kiss me. Before I could comprehend what was happening, he had crashed his lips into mine. I hesitated at first, but within a very short while, I relaxed my lips into his. Whoa, what the heck? What am I doing? I'm kissing Joel right now. If it was someone else, I would have pushed him away, but there was something about him that wasn't in other boys. I just didn't know what it was. I had found him cuter and had accepted him more than the other boys. Yeah, that's right. Have I developed a crush on him? No, it's not possible. Boys are nothing but heartless and wicked animals. That thought brought me back to Nick. I pulled away immediately. We stared at each other a little bit, after which he let go of my arms. Excuse me, I gotta go. I whispered and left the bathroom feeling a little happy about myself. I heard him calling my name, telling me to wait. I really liked the way he called my name, Natalie. It made my name sound really exotic. It's been a long time since anyone managed to make me feel happy in school. Except for Ariel anyways. My mind skipped back to what he said before the kiss. Is it wrong that I care about you? No, Joel. It's not wrong. I just can't trust any boy. I'm never going to risk that. I just hope he doesn't take the fact that I kissed him back wrongly. I'm never going to date him. I'm never going to date any guy. Not in this state. If he comes back to talk to me, I'm going to tell him off like I tell off every other guy so something stupid doesn't occur. Have I made the right choice? And do I need to tell Ariel my hidden pain before I conclude on a guy? Advice is needed. This is a really heartbreaking story. I can't imagine how she feels deeply inside her after all of this. What do you suggest she does? How should she do it? Should she talk to her friend? Please keep the comments rolling in. We will try to reply to all the comments and share our opinions. If you think that you also need some life advice, or just want to share any life experiences, we have multiple videos on this channel that cover all topics on life. Feel free to watch all of them, but you can always share your stories with us at the email address in the description below. Love you. Thank you for watching the video. I will see you soon with another intriguing story. And don't forget to smash the like button, share the video with others so that they can contribute with their solutions, and press the bell icon to subscribe. Bye! Hello everyone, it's Stella here. I hope everyone is doing great. Welcome to our channel, the place where people come to get inspired about all aspects of life. If you are wondering about what is done here, it's simple. We share people's stories, and these stories are about relationships, love life, friendships, and family experiences, and we try to provide these people some solutions through the comments section. Today we have two intriguing stories. One from a woman who said that every 5 years, her and her husband decide if they want to be married for another 5 years. Another story from a gentleman who is hesitating to tell his wife the truth, because the truth can hurt sometimes. No one is an island of knowledge, and that is why we made the comment section open for people to learn and give advice based on their individual ideologies. If this is your first time watching one of our episodes, then please show some love to us and to the ones who share their stories by smashing the like button and subscribe to our channel. At the end of each video, do not forget to write in the comments section the solutions that you think will help the people who send us their stories and ask for solutions. We are here to help everyone who needs life advice in any good or difficult situation. So you can share your stories with us at the email address in the description below if you need any help. Alright folks, without further ado, let's get into the first story. But before that, I need you to do me a quick favor and smash that thumbs up button below, because the way the YouTube algorithm works, if you do not smash that thumbs up button, YouTube is less likely to show you and other people our videos. I don't know how you guys will feel about this first story, but this woman has an interesting sense of marriage. She said that every 5 years, her and her husband decide if they want to be married for 5 more years. She wanted to be anonymous, so we are going to call her Mrs. X and her husband Mr. Y. Here's her story. The first time Mr. Y asked me to marry him, I never even answered. I didn't want to get married. I saw what a lot of my girlfriends had. They get married and give up their power, the essence of themselves. The second time he asked, I said, "Here's what I think we could do. I know I can be married for 5 years. And then at the end of 5 years, if we still like each other, we can get married again." For whatever reason, he said okay. We married 6 weeks later, in 1988. The first 5 years, we were crazy in love, having a good time. At the end, we decided we still liked each other, so we would get married for another 5 years. But in that second 5 years, we hit a wall, and we couldn't fix it. We found a fabulous therapist. The first time we went, he asked us why we were there, and I said to him, "We're halfway through this marriage, and if we can't fix this problem, we're not having another marriage." He looked at me like I was nuts. We decided we would try another marriage, and we started having family meetings. We bring our notebooks, and we say what went right, what didn't go so well, how is that a problem, and how we can work on that problem. It gives us a sense of structure, commitment, and accountability. Back then, we were having them about once a week. Now we have them a couple times a year, more often if things get funky. At the end of our marriage, we sit down about 3 months in advance, and we say, okay, where have we been? Where do we want to go individually? Where do we want to go as a couple? And do we still want to go together? So far, after 6 marriages, we still want to do that. Then we spiritually end the marriage and start over. The year that it was the end of our 5th marriage. Traditionally, it would have been considered 25 years. We started the marriage discussion in February, and we met every couple of weeks. We didn't decide until August that we were getting married. We're really serious about this. My girlfriends are always like, "Did you decide yet?" It's like, no, we're still working on it. We always have a ceremony, but we don't always have a party. Sometimes I walk down an aisle. When we got married this last time, we walked out together. We're still newlyweds. We're only a year and a half into this marriage. So we'll decide again in 2023. When a problem comes up, you tend to think you have forever to fix it. You know, we're here till death do us part. I don't have time to think about this now, but we'll talk about it later. And then you never talk about it, and anger and resentment build up, and that's how you end up with gray divorce. But when you have only 5 years, you know you don't have forever to fix it. And then it goes from the back burner to the front burner really fast. Well guys, that's a really new way of marriage. It seems like a healthy decision for them, and it is working. Now, our responsibility is to share our opinions with her through the comments section, so she can know what we think about her strategy and how we would go ahead with the idea. Saying that much, let's get into the second story of a gentleman who is in a mess. It is a truth versus a lie story. Here's his story. Please, guys, tell me what to do. I got married with a woman that I love a lot, and I love her to death. The problem is, while we were engaged, there was an argument going on, and since she was far from me in another city, I had some ideas that maybe she had found another man. During that time, I was weak, and an ex came back to me. I felt some way about this girl. You guys know the feeling probably, but my heart was beating for the one who was in another city, because she is a wonderful woman. I have never met someone like her in all my life. Let me tell you that I was a really big womanizer, but this woman who is my wife has changed me a lot. So, my ex came back in my life to set me up in order for her to get pregnant so that I can marry her. Oh, this story seems to get more interesting. Don't forget to smash the like button below if you have not done so yet, and let's continue listening to what happened next. My ex knew that I was already engaged, and if she gets pregnant, she will keep it, so that it would be too late for me to do anything. During 1 month, I was trying to fix the issue between my fiancé and I at the time. My wife, who was my fiancé at the time, finally forgave me. I immediately paid her dowry because I did not want to lose her, and she became my wife. Now, the girl who got pregnant comes to me to tell me when I married my wife that she is pregnant, and she tried at all costs to provoke my wife, to make her see that her and I have some things going on like a relationship type. Well, in reality, there is nothing going on between her and I. I decided then to tell my wife what's going on. Yesterday, after getting home from work, I came with some gifts for my wife. When I reached the house, my wife told me, "Honey, I have a surprise for you." I asked, "What?" We entered the bedroom and she showed me the results of some medical exams. She is pregnant. Very happy to learn this, but I wonder how to approach the subject of the other woman's pregnancy. It's risky and could frustrate her. I don't want to lose both babies. Please tell me what to do. I don't want her to learn my mistake elsewhere. That was a troubling situation to be in. Looks like his ex really has put him in a tense situation. Viewers, it is your turn to rescue the gentleman from the situation he is embattled with through your comments. What do you suggest he does? How should he do it? Is it advisable to tell his wife? What could possibly be the consequences? Please keep the comments falling in. This episode shows how some people still give their effort to maintain happy and healthy marital statuses. So guys, go ahead now and share your opinions with this lady and gentleman about their situation. Share what you would have done or what you think you would do if you were in their place. If you think you also need some advice on any life experiences, we have multiple videos on this channel that cover all topics on life. Feel free to watch all of them. But you can always share your stories with us at the email address in the description below. Love you, thank you for watching the video. I will see you soon with another story. And don't forget to smash the like button, share the video with others so they can contribute with their solutions, and press the bell icon to subscribe. Bye!